Hi, it's been a while since I filmed a reading, and at first I really did definitely need a break, and then I was like doing some reflecting and feeling like, you know, this weird like questioning of whether I wanted to continue doing readings, and then I realized, especially after like connecting with spirit and my guides and everything, that it was resistance. It was like a bit of self-doubt creeping in, and just general like malaise. It was like it felt like a few steps backwards on my healing and growth journey. And me sharing this is also a message for you who are viewing this. Hello, you're meant to be here. That like sometimes the ego, our minds will try and disguise like self-doubt and fear as like legitimate, like, oh, that's, you're not meant to be doing this, or like try to mask it as an intuitive hit of like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And when in doubt, always turn to spirit, always, turn to prayer and meditation, or however you connect to your faith practices. But also just self-reflection and journaling of like, where is this actually coming from? Like finding the root and listening to your body as well, because I recognize that constriction feeling that I get when I'm starting to feel the old fear and shame and like that unworthiness feeling and not enoughness feeling of, oh, I'm not meant to be doing this, as in I don't feel like I'm good enough, or I don't feel like I belong in a certain space, or I don't feel like I deserve to be doing what I want to do. Um, and yeah, it's a little bit emotional, so I'm feeling with you, and it's my own stuff, but I think I'm also connecting with somebody here where your energy is in that space of overcoming, self-doubt in that way. So before we jump in, let's ground the energy. I'm going to pray silently. You can tap in and connect with your spiritual team, your higher self, however you want to. If you need to go get water. Whenever the dog reacts to something, I'm like, oh, what is, like, that was a very sudden, like, it's like somebody. Don't be afraid to pause and take your time to really be aware of the energies. I know that sounds abstract, like when we're dealing with real life situations, sometimes to get esoteric about it and say the energies are like psychic this or spiritual that, like it sometimes can feel like it doesn't fit, but that stuff is real. And like sometimes when something doesn't feel right, it's our first inclination to jump into action, to do something differently, change something. But don't forget the step of like figuring out the problem that you're actually trying to solve. Getting to the root will save you time in the long run, even though up front it feels like I'm just sitting still, I'm just being quiet, and I'm not doing anything, and the situation might get worse. Release that anxiety around it and tap into the awareness, and that divine feminine wisdom, and that'll help you be much more effective in moving forward. Wow, they literally just, so there's two dogs that I live with. If you've watched a video, if you're someone who's watching, who's watched it before, you know that I have two dogs, and now they're just asleep. So I think there was a message there. I always, I believe in animal spirit guides in addition to the rest of my spiritual team, angels, ancestors, etc. So I'm attuned to the dogs that I live with, and whenever I see birds, it's a way that spirit delivers messages. So okay, let's pray and ground. Okay, so what I wanted to do was ask Spirit what we need to know about the current energies surrounding our situation. And this is the Wild Unknown Alchemy Oracle deck. So I thought I would pull a card or two from here and read a message from it. So this is the Blue Temple, or Azure Vault. Like, a lot of these cards have Latin and then the English. So I'm going to flip to it and then I'll continue holding the card up because I like to look at the imageries of cards when I read. And just in case you're someone who's clairvoyant, really reliant on images, I want to give you the opportunity to really tap into that. So let's see what Spirit wants us to know. So this says, celestial realm, the imagination, expansiveness. Welcome to the Blue Temple, the home of the alchemical imagination. You have entered a space of new depths, new possibilities. The inner eye opens and you become willing to see in a new way. Oh my gosh, it's just so funny that I mentioned clairvoyance and needing to really look at the image. Sorry. To understand this card, one must study blue itself. It is the celestial color of the sky, the ocean, and the peacock's tail. Though potent, blue slips away. Through this color, our imagination threads together experiences both grim and glorious. Think blue films and blue ribbons, the halls of heaven and the harrows of melancholy. We are taken into the depths of mood, of tone, of the rhythm of the blues. The eternal mystery of blue will only deepen as we study it, and this is precisely the point. Leave the cerebral behind, cloak yourself in the sapphire robe, and sit quietly in the vault of mysteries. Many people dismiss the azure vault as nonsense. Don't worry about them. Stay tuned to your own attendance to this sacred place and notice how you feel there. Once in a blue moon is a significant phrase. If the Blue Temple card and the moon card appear together, take note. The unlikely is the most likely. Yeah, so I'm getting blue as a slow energy, especially combined with the message I was getting about taking your time in order to see a situation more clearly and more deeply understanding whatever obstacle you're facing. And this idea of, we're coming out of winter, but you might be feeling that like backtracking energy I was feeling like we had a burst of like blooming forth, and now there might have been a little bit of retreat in our internal energies, like I was feeling in my heart space, and maybe a bit of sadness, and Spirit is saying don't be afraid of that sadness. Lean into the blue, into the depths of your being, of your emotional self, so that you can better understand your own creative depths, abilities, the messages that you're meant to bring forth from deep within your soul, because that's going to be connecting you to, your audience. So I always feel like I'm connecting with a creative person when I'm reading on here. We also have there was a card at the back of the deck, but I was feeling called, like this card peeked out, and so this is the Void. And I got this, I was pulling cards for myself last night, and this card came out, and I'm really feeling called. I didn't actually read it because I knew what Spirit was telling me, but I'm going to read it for you, like maybe an excerpt, just so we're not spending too much time just reading from the book, because, you know, we've got other messages to get to. Also, the Roman numerals throw me a bit, so sometimes I'm like trying to flip. Thank you, Spirit. They got me there. I was like, where? Okay. All right, so liminal darkness, destiny. Yeah, being in this liminal space, and it really does feel like 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because I've been delivering a lot of messages about forward momentum, about change, the winds of change. But I heard this shit isn't linear, and it really isn't. Healing isn't linear. Growth isn't linear. We think of time, we conceptualize time as like a forward linear thing, but in reality, especially when it comes to the spiritual and the celestial realms, that is floaty and feminine energy, I always think of as a circle. Like none of that is straightforward. And so this idea of being in liminal space, these pauses, push pull, ebbs and flows of the ocean, that's kind of where the energies are. That's kind of the energies that we're dealing with. The void is a mystical riddle in and of itself. Don't be afraid of confusion. Don't be afraid of moon energy. Like we have the sun in reverse here. And it's like I think of the moon as kind of the opposite of the sun. They balance each other out, yin and yang. Don't be afraid of that dark energy that if you can't see, because I was maybe you're used to being able to see things clearly, getting clairvoyant answers. Don't be afraid of feeling things out. Don't be afraid of lingering in uncertainty, leaning into that discomfort of uncertainty. Because also that's where the creative energies emerge. Creativity is an exploration, and you start with a question, and you're answering that question when you create. And that's alchemy, is about creation. Hope that's making sense. Very much kind of like abstract energies, but we'll get a little more concrete with the tarot. How about that? Okay, I hope you enjoy. I set the intention of this just being a comforting space where we can come, where it feels like you're on FaceTime with a warm, kindred spirit. So let's get a past, present, and future card. Find out what Spirit wants us to know about the 3D. Yep. Okay. Here's a lot of swords energy. Yeah, I'm very much getting the vibe. Okay. Yeah, all swords. Okay. This is a reading about the internal. It's not so much, it's about our internal energies, but of course that's going to heavily influence our external reality. But I'm getting mental energy primarily. So for past, we have the Knight of Swords. I thought it had been in the reverse, but oh yeah, no. So it was upright, but because this was in the past, this was that winds of change. So swords energy being air, and I was getting, and this is the fastest moving card in the deck, along with 8 of Wands. Spirit just brought to mind, so there might be a message there for you. But basically we were riding the high of, you know, finally seeing quick results. You know, our thoughts were moving quickly, but it was in a problem solving energy, so it felt really good. And that's where we're comfortable using our minds to solve problems. That's what we're used to. That's our default as human beings. And so then in the present, we've been hitting a roadblock. This is the King of Swords in reverse. And it's like that energy of mentally solving problems isn't serving us. We've hit a new stage of our journey of whatever we're creating, this alchemical process, this larger process of creating our dream life. Within that, our careers, our ideal relationships and living situations, our manifestation that begins with that vision. We've been hitting a roadblock of sorts. I want to find out specifically from Spirit what one, maybe what it is you as the viewer were looking for, the Hierophant. So this is higher learning. This is spiritual higher learning, and also maybe somebody who is contemplating going back to school. Maybe you got a rejection letter from like a master's program, for instance. Like you were seeking some sort of, okay, I gotta hit download. Like if you were thinking, you figured out you wanted to do something, and then you felt like you needed a certain degree, a certain type of training, a certificate or something to be able to do it. You were looking to go on this linear path of, okay, I get this schooling, this degree, go into this training program in order to do my healing work that I came here to do, in order to fulfill my purpose. And you said, okay, and you set out to do this thing, and then you hit a roadblock. You got a rejection letter. You didn't get into the program you wanted. The person you reached out to mentor you never returned your email. I'm giving examples here. And so then you were so confused. Now you're confused and you don't understand. As a King of Swords in reverse, you're not able to see clearly and discern the way that you're used to being able to discern. Like, why did this happen? Because I thought I was in alignment with my purpose. Spirit told me, figure out what I want and then go for it. And that's what I thought I was doing. But Spirit's reminding you what you wanted wasn't necessarily this traditional learning path. It was the end result that you thought you would get from going that way. And Spirit's trying to guide you down a different path, one that's perhaps less linear. I'm seeing leads here. I also wanted to point out with these swords cards, they both have black flowers in them. And you'll see the next card here for the future is the Queen of Swords in reverse, and it has white flowers. So these black flowers were reminding me of the moon and the void, where, the darkness, the not being able to see. And it's very easy to take that as being a negative, like dark meaning negative, black meaning negative. But I just got a hit again of rejection being divine protection, and black being the color of crystals that are protective. Black tourmaline, shungite, which is this one. Black is protective, and there's a cloak. I'm getting like Spirit maybe covering you a cloak, wanting you to move in silence with more subtlety and forging your own path. Because as a visionary, as a leader, as an innovator, you forge a path and you create your destiny in a way that nobody else has done it before. And you were kind of, I heard making the mistake, but it's not like you effed up. It's more just falling into the trap of trying to pursue an already well-trodden path, one that was linear and one that was carved out. Queen of Swords in reverse. The Queen of Swords I always think of as the most masculine queen. And so in the future, this is really, I'm hearing mastery and masterful and master, being the master of your life and what you're doing. This path of higher learning. Spirit's reminding me, I never finished that message about these leaves. I was seeing weeds here. You were like hitting weeds. You were getting lost in the weeds of trying to pursue something, a way of doing things that wasn't for you. You're going to emerge from that, but it's from transcending this hyper masculine way of moving through the world that a lot of the human population right now is operating out of. Like you can call it the patriarchy, but it's just very much like action oriented, particularly in Western culture. It's like the masculine way of doing things has been put on a pedestal, like this idea of even breaking through glass ceilings. Like, it's a beautiful thing to be a boss babe, like a woman breaking through glass ceilings, if that's for you. But sometimes femininity is for you, and like just trying to force yourself, being a circle, trying to force yourself into a square hole it doesn't work, and it's not aligned with your destiny. And so that's where you run into roadblocks. I really hope that was helpful. We have the Four of Wands in upright as the back of the deck energy. You're gonna get there. The Four of Wands, beautiful card. I'm getting a message of alignment from it specifically right now. And these red and yellow, this is like warmth and action. But I'm getting success and security from the red and yellow, happiness. With the Four of Wands, celebration. You just totally transforming from transcending the past illusions. And there's more yellow in the back of this deck. I'm getting ready to pull from this one for some clarification, but specifically this, I'm seeing with this card, like she's technically hanging from something, but I'm getting like someone doing like a backflip, like this totally different way of, instead of like walking forward into the future, it's like doing this beautiful backflip arc into the future, this completely different way, turning expectations on their head, upside down, like backwards and upside down way of doing things that nobody understands until you reach that success, and they're like, oh my gosh, that's why they did it that way. That's so brilliant, but nobody would have thought of it. And that is the point. You are a dark horse. Oh my gosh, horse. And this is the Knight of Swords again, and this is another card that I pulled when I was doing a reading for myself. And just more yellow. You're headed for so much happiness. So just continue exploring the depths while you're, feeling them. Like, continue exploring all of the range of your emotions, because in that exploration, you're going to get so much insight. Queen of Cups. It came out in reverse, but this was just such confirmation of what I was saying, of exploring your emotions in order to get insight. Like, look at her, and she's in the ocean, like the depths of the ocean, the water. It's really dark in the deep sea. Like, when you get really deep in the ocean, there's less oxygen. The conditions, this is deep. So there's life at the deep, in the very, very deep sea, but they have a totally different way of operating, of getting food. Like, they don't have vision. Those fish down there don't have vision in the same way as other mammals, as other creatures and mammals and such. And there's just a different way. Like, some can like photosynthesis. I don't even know the details of it, but they have a different way of like sustaining themselves down there. And so it's like your entire way of life is so foreign to the majority of people, and it's foreign to even your past self, and you right now, as you're transitioning into this, don't even understand what you're doing. And this seems so abstract, but with this Nine of Swords in reverse, I'm getting that you're really beginning to just lean into that and not fear the lack of understanding as much. But you still have your moments of doubt, and you still have your moments of grief and sadness and feeling lonely and disconnected because of how different you feel, and how different your path is, and the fact that nobody else has been on it before. But rest will help, sleep will help, and your angels will comfort you during sleep. I've talked about this before, how I get angelic presence in my dreams sometimes, and it's like really, really bright light. And pay attention to in deep meditation sometimes too. It's really easy. Like, I've heard, I've gotten clairaudient downloads too, or heard randomly a loud sound when reaching like a state of deep meditation. So just be attuned to that. And you don't have to rush to interpret what all it is. I'm seeing in this card, there's a figure like at the surface. This is like your human self, and this is like your higher self in these depths, and just this depth and breadth of understanding and wisdom from all of your past lives and all of the transformations you've been through. And so know that you're very well equipped, even if your conscious mind doesn't always know how you know the answers. Just know that the answers are in your heart. And the Devil, this is self-doubt trapping you. Don't allow self-doubt and the circumstances of being alone and not having human support, because you always have the support of spirit in your spiritual team. But if you're, in that transitional phase, yeah, because I got this in a one of my later readings, that a lot of us haven't gotten to that place of being connected with our soul family in the physical. So just know that you'll get there. This is the King of Swords, but it's a completely different King of Swords. I mean, so this is the Muse Tarot, and so it's a very like divine feminine deck, but it's also a very like creative soul kind of oriented deck. And so I'm just getting like, this is like you integrating that King of Swords aspect of yourself and using it in a totally new way, like flying these orange kites. Orange is the color of the sacral chakra. That's all water, feminine, intuition. And so and look at this dancing, this freedom, and the light pink of like love, and yeah, just fully embracing the expansiveness. Expansiveness was one of the key words that I read out of this alchemy book. And I'm just getting like, sometimes we fear our own kind of, expansiveness, our own like the size, the sheer depth of who we are, because it's just hard to constantly be tapped into all of that. Like how they say we only use like a small percentage of our brain power. I don't know if that's actually true, or if that's one of those myths, or a oversimplification of the science or something like that. But like in this case, it's just an example, a metaphor for the way that we only use so much of our soul power at a given time as human beings. We only have access to so much of that divine wisdom and ability, because it's just hard to ground that into the very limited 3D reality that we live in. And also, I saw an ant crawling down the window, and I've been seeing a lot of ants, and that's all about like this idea of strength and being able to carry so much more than we realize. But also, ants are very interconnected and very community oriented as well. So it's like, even though you can carry this burden on your own, it doesn't mean you're meant to. We have Five of Pentacles in reverse, so you're not going to be carrying it alone, and you are meant to be so much more abundant. You're very, very rich in spirit. Very, very rich in spirit. So even if there's times when you're like, I don't even feel like I need to be manifesting, more money, but at the same time, it's like, even if you're not necessarily rich and you just feel like, I'm good, I don't need to, just follow that. Yeah. See, 10 of emotions, 10 of cups. Is your happiness might not be the same as someone else's definition of happiness and success and fulfillment. Magician in reverse. Yeah, I always think of the Magician in reverse as like, again, overcoming distorted masculine energy, because the shadow element of the Magician card is like forcing situations and not allowing divine flow to dominate, So yeah, just the thing to keep in mind with this entire situation is simply knowing when to let go and knowing when to move forward. I really hope these messages are helping you. Every time I channel, I kind of don't consciously process what I'm saying in the same way. So sometimes the words will come out and I don't know if they make sense, but I have to just trust that, I set the intention to allow spirit to flow. So anytime, trust your intention setting, trust your heart, trust the purity of your desires. Yeah, both of these cards have come out in recent readings, and so these are just reminders. This one, Clan of the Wolf Heart, we are the ones we've been waiting for. This one's a lot about protection and connection with Soul Tribe. That's what I'm getting from that. And then this is Totemic Puma, Power Awakening. And again, not being afraid of your own power and recognizing your own power to be able to overcome. Let me see. Maybe we'll get one message from this. And this is a guardian. Well, it says Kaitaiki, guardian of Papatuanuku. And so I'm just getting ancestors, spirit guides, being your guardian, so protecting you, watching over you, and also being there for conversation and for I'm getting sounding board. I do this with my spirit guides all the time. I'll be driving, I'll be brushing my teeth. They're there for you to chit chat with. That's it's the best. I mean, once I got over the hump of feeling crazy and also, a little bit of doubting if I'm actually connecting, I've gotten countless confirmations, synchronicities at this point that now I'm beyond a shadow of a doubt about my communication. But maybe you're not quite there yet and you still are unsure about the idea of your spiritual team. It's okay to trust and ask for more confirmation, ask for synchronicities and signs. Know that they're there for you, and they're there for you for little things and large things. When you feel lonely, you get to chat with them, and it's not ever gonna be a typical back and forth conversation, but when you're tapped in and you recognize the communication that is happening, there's no other feeling like it. I've gotten crazy chills from tapping in. Yeah, and if you're here with me, you have the same capability to do that. Just because I'm reading tarot for you and with you doesn't mean that I'm some crazy guru. I don't know. Okay, so this is Pollock Mana, Medicine of the Butterfly Kachina. And I'm going to read the message, maybe just an excerpt of the message. The number 6 is here to be pointed out. On wings of hope, Butterfly Kachina guides you through an ending to the light of new life within. We're in that darkness of the ending. It is your transition into a happier time of increased pleasure and delight. I'm getting in that Muse of Swords card. Oh, it's not on the top of the deck anymore. But I mean, yeah, pleasure and delight, 10 of Cups, that happiness. Look at those colors too, the orange and the yellow. So I'm getting, sacral chakra and solar plexus chakra. Especially if you have experienced great struggle or loss, that energy of grief I was feeling. The spirit medicine of Butterfly brings hopeful promise to your heart. Here is your sign that there will be happiness, peace, and light. Trust in the goodness being birthed. That's beautiful. Okay. Yeah, that is a great note to end on. I'm just so enjoying reading for you. So I was like, okay, is there anything else, Spirit, that you want to leave them with? But I'll be back soon with another reading. Maybe sooner than we think. We'll see. I kind of read as I get the opportunity to. But I'm sending you a lot of love, and I would like to thank you for being here with me today and allowing me to tap into your energy in this way, sharing this space. And I'm so grateful that we're connected as soul family. Even though we haven't met in the physical, we're soul tribe connecting here. You're never alone. I love reminding people that the sadness you're feeling, because I'm feeling it come up again, will pass. The sadness always passes. The happiness passes too. Change is the only constant. Listen to nature and Mother Earth when it comes to that. Watch the trees as they transition. Watch the sky as it's different every single day. You're different every single day, while at the same time being your true essence of self, always connected to spirit, always loved, always supported. All right, I'll leave you with that. Thanks.